The Irish governmental regime are shaking in their boots after the great success at the Garden of Remembrance on April 26th, last Saturday. Much love to everybody that was there. Congratulations. We have defeated evil, okay? Or we are well on the way to defeating evil. We know that all the lies that were put upon us by the mainstream media, the British brainwashing propaganda media and the Irish propaganda media were in full force trying to label people as racist, homophobic, transphobic, heterophobic, and all these different labels that people want to put on us, okay? Anti-immigration, all this type of thing was complete nonsense. We just know that it was an anti-government protest, guys, to protest the woke bullshit. People are getting paid handouts while other people are dying on the side of the road. People that are getting houses, from abroad, people that don't deserve houses in this country getting free houses, and while the Irish rot and die on the side of the street, especially in Dublin, as Dublin is a different country than the rest of Ireland, okay? Very, very patriotic, very different there in Dublin. I love to see it. But of course, the rest of Ireland has, been slow to wake up, but the people are getting it now. The people are understanding what the hell is going on. So hopefully the next few years is going to be amazing, okay? We voted in some good people. Of course, Conor McGregor was at the forefront of the commemoration, okay, for the 1916 Patriots, and of course the Garden of Remembrance walk, where he filmed the video talking about how of course, peaceful protest was going to play out, and it was a great success. So shout out to Conor McGregor, great guy. I've been backing him since the beginning, guys. I love to see a guy put sports on the map in Ireland, put Ireland on the map in terms of a worldwide global stage competitor in terms of sports. So it's great to see. So the first video we're going to react to today, as we have a numerous amount of videos, is Taoiseach Micheál Martin at the Fianna Fáil 1916 commemoration at Arbor Hill Cemetery in Dublin. Okay, and it's actually a massive irony that he's there, because the founding fathers of Ireland, okay, the founding leaders of Ireland would be rolling in their graves. People like Michael Collins would be rolling over in their graves if they were to see the travesty that was taking place in government today. It's unbelievable. But let's watch this video first, and then stay tuned. The next video after is going to be a crazy one, guys. We have Micheál Martin reacting to the actual protests and basically him cowering in fear of the people and the uprising.
The Taoiseach Micheál Martin has said his government is not concerned by yesterday's large anti-immigration protest in Dublin city centre, during which the housing crisis was repeatedly referenced.
So right off the bat, she says the anti-immigration protest, it wasn't that at all, guys. This is the bullshit media spin that they try to portray people as racist and all this nonsense. What it is giving people free handouts. People that don't deserve shit, they're getting given shit. You know what I mean? It's just, that's a disgrace. You can't have that, guys. And also, of course, rising crime because they're not handling things correctly. If you guys go to the Middle East, Dubai has an 80% immigration rate. One of the best countries in the world. People are happy. People have loads of money. Very low taxes. Matter of fact, there's zero tax. It's an amazing country to live in. Great people, friendly, very safe. Okay? But of course, they have great leadership there. So here, it's bullshit, feminist leadership of some sort. So insane.
In which the housing crisis was repeatedly referenced. Mr. Martin made the comments at the Fianna Fáil 1916 commemoration at Arbor Hill Cemetery in Dublin this afternoon. The Taoiseach said housing is the big social issue of our day, but added that the government was focused on solutions.
So housing is a bit of a cop-out that people like Paul Murphy and this sort of liberal government want to sort of brainwash the people into thinking, well, if we just get a bunch of houses, if we build all the houses in Ireland, all the problems will go away. And that's not how it works, guys. All the problems will still be here because of low wages, low income, crime-ridden areas, because there's not proper policing. They're too busy, looking for people's taxes and bullshit like that, not cracking down on crimes and gangs enough, not trying to, get people that have knives and guns, not handling these very, very severely, not handing out severe sentences to people with knives and guns. I mean, you should damn near get 50 years if you have a knife trying to stab somebody, or if you have a flippin', or if you flippin' have a gun. You should get 100 years, right? If it's not legal, I think that guns should be absolutely legal in Ireland, and I actually push to, have everyone have a gun, so someone like Aisling Murphy would still be alive today if she had a flippin', handgun. she could have shot that guy and we'd all be happy. But unfortunately, you know, that's not the way the Irish government choose to conduct their business. They choose to conduct it in an evil manner, okay? And it's irony in itself how Ireland is a Christian country. They're praying outside this nice big cross here. This is obviously around Easter Sunday, which is basically, you know, it's like sort of our July 4th for Ireland. You know, it's like our National Freedom Day, right? Of course, Easter Sunday. But it's irony in itself how they are pushing satanic cults on people of Ireland and woke bullshit, right?
I don't accept the negativity from those who spoke yesterday in respect of where modern Ireland is today. And the level of opportunity in modern Ireland today, again, is far in excess of anything previous generations experienced in terms of educational completion and so on. The big social issue of...
Whoa, hold on. He said... This is such bullshit. He said that Ireland is definitely leading the charge when it comes to education. That's because it's free. It's socialist based education here, which we could debate whether that should be or not. I went to college because it's free. Did I learn anything? Absolutely not, guys. I don't give a fuck about college. I make money from the internet. You know, to hell with college and secondary school. You know what I mean? We should be learning about taxes and how to make money on the internet, how to make money here, how to make money here. You know, the education system is a joke in Ireland, as a matter of fact. All my teachers were woke liberals and they just zonked us. They just warped our mind. One teacher came running in 2016 when Trump was elected, literally crying in tears. You know, big obese lady, she could barely walk up the stairs. I was like, it doesn't even matter. You know, things change, things chop. And if you don't like Trump now, there'll be another change in 4 years. You know, and if not those 4 years, there'll be another change in another 4 years after that. You know, we had Obama for 8 years. We had Bush for 4 years. For 8 years, actually. I didn't Bush Jr. was in for 8 years. People hated Bush Jr. So he was horrendous. He was probably the worst president of all time. Like, you know, starting wars in the Middle East and stuff crazy. And in regards to the accommodation, he said as well, accommodation is a joke. If I tried to actually get accommodation last year, I went looking. I couldn't. One of my friends got accommodation in Dublin because he knew a friend. I couldn't believe it. I was like, how the hell did you get accommodation? Like, this was just luck. It's impossible accommodation. What the hell is this guy talking about? There's 0 houses. Oh, come on, man. This is crazy.
Where there is housing, but we're focused on solutions to that and less so on the rhetoric of it.
Well, our political correspondent Paul Cunningham is here. And Paul, the government continuing to come under pressure on the housing crisis.
Yeah, the government is under pressure. Just last Wednesday, we learned that the social housing target for 2024 been missed by nearly 20%. Just on Friday, the number of people living in emergency accommodation topped 15,400, a record. Many of the protesters who attended last week or yesterday's demonstration on the streets of Dublin, it wasn't just an anti-immigration message they were being told by speakers, it was also criticism of the government and its failure to provide housing to its people. Now, asked about that...
Well, you know, that's the main hypocrisy. You know, 400,000 people have come to Ireland. We're housing people, putting them in hotels, etc., that aren't from Ireland. And then the Irish citizens, the people with passports, are left on the street to die. 15,000. You know, I mean, that's just disgrace, guys. Like, how can you do that sort of double reasoning is just beyond me.
Today, Micheál Martin said that if you look at the social houses delivered over the past 5 years, that exceeded what had happened over the past 2 decades. And he also adopted a more sort of persuasive approach rather than going on the attack, saying that he believed that the government had the policies and the plans to ensure that housing was delivered on. And he said that that was something which was a key priority for them.
Again, they're using the housing crisis as a ruse, guys. You know, to kind of, you know, not house Irish people and just complete bullshit and contempt for the people in total. So the second video we have here is Micheál Martin, a longer version of the video that we just watched, shaking in his boots, visibly touching his face, which is a, you know, clear-cut sign that you're nervous. You know, if you touch your face, that's basic psychology to show that you're nervous and under massive scrutiny, which he is. Let's listen to what the hell he says, guys, because this is an insane video, okay?
I don't accept the negativity from those who spoke yesterday in respect of where modern Ireland is today.
So he doesn't have to accept it, but it's 100% true. That this is where modern Ireland is today. You know, it doesn't matter if he thinks it's negative or whatever. You know, It is 100% true, guys. Like, let's be honest. Like, it's a shit show, man.
Ireland is today. The level of opportunity in modern Ireland today, again, is far in excess of anything previous generations experienced in terms of educational completion and so on. The big social issue of our day is housing, but we're focused on solutions to that, and less so on the rhetoric of it.
Are you concerned that the size of that incident...
Right there. You guys see? When he was touching, he did this sort of movement right here, touching the face. He was rubbing his nose, which I don't know, you know, a lot of these politicians love their drugs, let's just say. But he was touching his nose, touching his face. What's all that about? Massively nervous. He's also holding up the symbols, guys. You know, all these guys are linked to the Masonic lodges and all that type of stuff, guys. So he's holding on to he's holding that symbol up right there, guys. Watch the little symbols that he does. He rubs his face and he holds up these symbols. It's weird stuff.
Describe themselves as Irish nationalist. He's growing and getting bigger because of it.
Well, again, we've just had a general election. We've had a local election before that, and I think the ballot box is the key metric, the key determinant, of the organisation of society, who gets elected into government, who gets elected to local councils, and I think it has to be based on ideas and policies, and we believe we have a stronger set of ideas than perhaps those who articulated yesterday.
So I think he's absolutely wrong, but he made a point here, okay? So an interviewer asked him from one of the mainstream brainwashing organizations, okay, Virgin Media, News Talk, and RT. They're out in full force, guys. That's the three top, and Joe.ie. Don't forget Joe.ie, Sports.ie, the Lad Bible. They're all bought and paid for by the media, the government, NGOs. But right off the bat, they asked him right here, guys, okay, what do you think about the Irish nationalists that's growing bigger and bigger? And he said, well, we just had a general election before that, okay, and the key metrics determined the organization of society, so they determined what the people wanted, right? But here's the thing. That was before Trump got elected, guys. This was like, when was it, back in October, November when I voted, okay? And the key kind of right there was that there still hasn't been one in the last 3 or 4 or 5 months, okay, since the beginning of the year when Trump came into power. Massive overhauls and shifts happened in society once Trump was elected. Like, people can't deny that. The Irish government can't deny that. So, you know, he knows that the next election coming, there's going to be big change, you know. There was never really, you know, a lot of people on the conservative movement, they said, they're really disheartened because, you know, there wasn't big change in the ballot boxes and people weren't really voting for anybody else. And my personal opinion, if you vote for a political party, Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, Sinn Féin, who I have never voted for in my adult life ever, okay, if you vote for them, you're kind of part of the problem in my personal opinion. But now, in 2025, there's going to be a massive overhaul. If there's an election this November or next November, even someone like McGregor getting into power, I mean, it could happen easily, in my personal opinion, thinking, if he's allowed to. Of course, they're trying to run the anti-democratic sort of thing. But last thing I wanted to react to, guys, is just Donald Trump here talking to Zelenskyy. Kind of an odd one. So this was at the Pope's funeral. Zelenskyy is making one last desperate attempt to convince Trump to fund his war. And Trump is once again telling him that the jig is up. Historical scenes at the Vatican. Yeah, it seems absolutely crazy. So here they're pictured sitting down together, discussing different topics. Macron, okay, the leader of France, wanted to intervene and come over and talk as well. But Trump kind of led him away and said, no, you stay over here. You know, the big boys are doing some talking now. And of course, you know, it's just going to end badly for everyone, okay? So absolutely insane. Let me know your thoughts, guys. What do you think they're talking about? Zelenskyy and Trump. Obviously, he probably wants to end that war. You know, Donald Trump really is not a warmonger at all. You know, he really wants to end a lot of wars, which is great to see. You know, a lot of U.S. presidents, especially Republican presidents, have wanted to fund wars. Historically, Bush, you know, Bush Jr., Sr., you know, many different presidents. But now it's great to see that the Republicans are not the party of war, and that the Democrats, Joe Biden, Obama, they were the people that escalated wars in the Middle East. And, you know, it's great to see that the kind of tide is turning on how many people, you know, they're trying to convince that the war is not good. I love to see that, guys, because war is horrible. Let me know your thoughts. If you want me to keep pushing back against the mainstream media in Ireland and abroad, hit the join link underneath the video. Become a member today. Buy some t-shirts. Not this Manscaped one. I actually have merch in my description down below, which I should be wearing, but I'm buying them myself. I'm buying about 3 of my own t-shirts. So hopefully you guys get to see me wearing those a lot. And yeah, man, check out the clean merch, and I'll see you all in the next one, guys. Peace.